Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever been on a train just gazing out the window, watching birds soar across the sky? It's one of those really peaceful moments, right? You're zipping along, but for a second, you feel connected to the natural world. Well, that beautiful image, it actually hides a pretty shocking and tragic problem.
And that brings us to the core mystery. I mean, it seems like it should be simple, doesn't it? A bird can fly literally anywhere. So how on earth do thousands of them end up colliding with a huge train that's stuck on a single track? How can these masters of flight not see it coming? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
You see, this isn't some freak, rare accident. This is a hidden, daily tragedy. On some of the high-speed rail lines, these kinds of collisions are reported almost every single day. It's a constant issue, and the consequences stretch way beyond just one sad moment.
Exactly. This goes so much deeper than just an animal welfare issue, though that's important too. We're talking about things that can mess with train schedules, cause damage to expensive equipment, and even throw off the balance of delicate local ecosystems. So understanding this is absolutely crucial, no matter how you look at it.
Okay, so let's dive in. If we're going to solve this problem, we first have to really get a grip on why it's happening in the first place. And let me tell you, it's not just one thing. It's a really complex mix of factors, a real collision of two different worlds, the world of nature and the world of human technology.
So the reasons basically fall into four main buckets. First, you've got the simple fact that we've built train tracks that slice right through bird habitats. Then, you've got the incredible, almost unnatural speed of modern trains. We also have to think about how birds actually see and hear the world around them, which is very different from us. And finally, there's the massive role that our own changes to the landscape play in all of this.
And this right here, this slide really gets to the heart of it. A bird lives in a world of instinct. It's a world of familiar sounds, good spots to find food, and safe places to hide. A high-speed train it doesn't compute in that world. It's an obstacle moving way too fast to understand. And all the noise and vibrations it makes, they might not even register as a threat until it is way, way too late. So if we actually look at the data, the single biggest cause, at a whopping 40%, is just that flight paths and train tracks are in the same place. It's a problem of sharing space. The train's speed and the bird's perception make up another 30%. Then you've got environmental factors at 20%. And finally, a really fascinating 10% comes from something called habituation.
And this is a perfect explanation of habituation. Just imagine if a loud alarm went off outside your house every single day at the same time. At first, you'd jump, but after a few weeks, you'd probably just tune it out. Well, that's exactly what's happening with these birds. The roar of the train, which should be a massive warning sign, just becomes normal background noise. They stop seeing it as a danger.
So the problem is clearly complex. But here's the good news. People are on it. This is not some unsolvable puzzle. There are some really smart people working on solutions. So let's take a look at the strategies that could help build a safer future for both trains and wildlife.
Now, the best way forward isn't just one magic fix. It's a layered strategy, kind of tackling the problem from all sides. It starts with just managing the physical environment right around the tracks. Then, we can bring in technology to actively warn birds. After that, we can get smarter by using data to predict where the high-risk spots are. And finally, we can even look at redesigning the trains themselves.
Okay, so step one is often the most direct and, honestly, the most common sense. If you have a lot of overgrown trees and bushes right next to the tracks, they act like hiding spots. A bird can fly right out into a train's path with zero warning. So by simply managing the vegetation, we open up the sightlines, giving the birds those precious extra seconds to see what's coming and get out of the way.
Now, technology offers some really clever tools. We can set up devices that blast out certain sounds or flash bright lights to try and scare birds away. But as you can see here, it's not a silver bullet. A sound that works for one type of bird might be totally ignored by another. And, well, flashing lights can be a huge headache for any people living nearby. It all has to be done very carefully and very specifically.
This is where things get really sophisticated. By crunching bird migration data, railways could potentially slow trains down during peak travel times for certain species. We can study how specific birds behave to create deterrents that are way more effective for them. And hey, while redesigning the front of a train is more about making an impact less harmful, it's not preventing it, it's still a really important piece of the puzzle to minimize the damage.
You know, when you look at all these solutions together, they all point toward a much bigger goal. Trying to create a world where our technology and the natural world can actually coexist safely. This really isn't just about protecting birds, It's about being more thoughtful and responsible inhabitants of this planet.
And getting to that future, well, it's not on any one group. It absolutely requires a team effort. You need the railway companies to actually make the changes. You need researchers and scientists to supply the data and the smart ideas. And you need the public to be aware of the issue and support these efforts.
And that brings it all the way back to us. What we do actually matters. It could be simple things like not feeding birds near train tracks, which just encourages them to hang out there, or just being mindful not to disturb nesting sites with loud noises. These little things can genuinely help reduce these accidents. It's all about being aware of our footprint.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Our whole modern world is built on convenience, things like high-speed trains. But that progress has to come with a responsibility to think about the other creatures that share this world with us.
And so that leaves us with this final, big question to chew on. As our technology gets faster and more powerful, how do we make sure that it's evolving in harmony with nature and not just in conflict with it? Finding that balance, well, that's one of the greatest challenges of our time. Thanks for watching.